What is up, YouTube? I am Galdate74 here, bringing you another week of APM. This is going to be week 4, and this week we take on the Lord of the Acorn, coach of the Boise Blazikens. We are going into this match with a 2-1 record, while my opponent is going into this game with a 1-2 record. Now, to recap what happened last week we were able to snag a win against Rubens. If you did not check out that battle, I recommend you go check out the APM playlist on my channel. And as well, if you want to see any other draft content on the channel, you can just go through the playlist. Everything's organized there. And we also did beat Lord of the Acorn last time we fought him in the APM regular season. Unfortunately, that's not on YouTube because that was one of the weeks where I had like a really messed up stream and I couldn't upload it to YouTube. So big apologies. It was a really long battle anyway. But this time around, it's not going to be easy because I personally think Lord of the Acorn's team is the scariest in the entire league. Not so because of matchup, but just because of how his team structure is in general. As I'm going to break down his team now so you guys get a general idea. So, my opponent's teams consist of Metagross with Z-moves, Linoon, Lycanroc Dusk with Z-moves, Aromatisse, Sigilif, Yanmega, Paswan, Dusclops, Magmortar, and Shelgon. That team is very scary, but what I expect him to bring consists of Metagross, Linoon, Lycanroc Dusk, Aromatisse, Piloswine, and Dusclops. He could bring one of his flying types and drop Dusclops, but Dusclops was really annoying, and the way I prepped this matchup this week, Dusclops is very annoying for that team. Now, the thing that makes his team so scary is the fact that he's got Metagross, Linoon, and Lycanroc Dusk. And that's very scary because let's say my physical wall, he'll trade my physical wall for one of his physical attackers. He still has 2 more right there that can easily plow through my team. And while some of these 3 aren't, Lycanroc Dusk is a main problem for my team. Metagross is a little bit annoying, and Linoon isn't too bad if I don't let it set up, which I have pretty good ways to make sure it doesn't set up. But there's still, these 3 combined are very annoying. And then on the opposite side of the spectrum, he's got really good walls like Dusclops and Piloswine, which my team, especially Dusclops, is really annoyed by, as well as Aromatisse. Aromatisse isn't as much of a big deal because I have Empoleon, but it's still really annoying regardless. So he's definitely got a good synergized team. And then he's got special wall breakers like Yanmega and Sigilif, so that's really scary. And my team this week, I'm not really feeling it because I do have a few mons that are actually really good against his team, like Empoleon, for example, but the thing about this matchup compared to my other APM battles this season is that I do not have a win con. Nothing on my team is a sure win con this week, and I don't like nothing in general. And I really don't like that because usually in a battle, even though I don't have like always a set win con, I kind of just play it out as it is. I usually have a set idea of how the end game's gonna be. This battle, I have no idea. I'm just gonna make sure things don't get out of hand and try to whittle down his team that way. But that is going to be his team breakdown of the week. The team I am rocking out with this week consists of Blaziken, Rhydon, Galvantula, Empoleon, Simipour, and Licky. So as always, the first mon I am bringing on the team, as I just mentioned, is Blaziken. Blaziken is rocking out with the Fire MZ with max attack on 176 speed with a Jolly Nature and 88 HP, moves being Flare Blitz, Superpower, Knockoff, and Vacuum Wave. Yes, we are bringing Blaziken against the Boise Blazikens, so we're using his mascot against him. I never thought I'd be running Vacuum Wave 2 weeks in a row, but here we are doing it, mainly because Linoon and Lycanroc Dusk are both weak to Vacuum Wave, and while yes, they both have priority, Linoon needs to be set up for extreme speed to really be killing, and Lycanroc Dusk's Assault Rock isn't going to be doing too much. It's going to do a lot, but not a crazy amount. And Blaziken doesn't do a crazy amount in this battle overall, but what it does do is very important, as it is my main way of offensively beating the Metagross, because Metagross can be a little bit can be scary. It is scary because Metagross is very versatile in this matchup. I'm pretty sure there's only one or 2 sets that really scare me, but Metagross can definitely do a lot of different things. Blaziken is there to put a stop to that regardless. With the Z move, allows me to nuke almost anything on his team. The Fire MZ is really strong against him because nothing really wants to switch into it. Even Piloswine with Thick Fat doesn't really want to be tanking that too much. And if he switches in something like Dusclops, who can take the hit relatively well, Dusclops does not get reliable recovery, so it is some chip that I could definitely use. And just, it's really good overall. His team has a really hard time switching into Blaziken. Granted, the things that are faster than Blaziken sort of do beat it, like Yanmega, Sigilif can all like air slash it and kind of kill it, but again, they don't want to switch into Blaziken. So getting a Blaziken, it means it's going to be trouble for him. But we're going to move on to our second mod of the week, which is going to be Rhydon. Rhydon is rocking out with the Eviole, max HP, 172 defense with an Impish Nature and 88 in speed. Moves being Stealth Rock, Toxic, Earthquake, and Superpower. Superpower is there to make sure that Linoon doesn't set up in front of my Rhydon. And fun fact, I didn't realize it because I wasn't even looking at Rhydon first because I knew Linoon, Lycanroc, and Metagross all got coverage for it. Is that Rhydon is so fat that Seed Bomb from Linoon, non-boosted, does like 35% max. And that's just insane to me, how weak Linoon is without the boost. Linoon cannot OHKO Rhydon whatsoever, get nearly close unless it's got Seed Bomb, even at +6. Granted, if it does have Seed Bomb at +6, it knocks me out. But if it doesn't, then Stopping Tantrum's doing like 60% at +6. So it's not the worst thing in the world. Obviously, I still don't want Linoon setting up because it just makes it so much harder to deal with. I can let it set up if it doesn't have Seed Bomb. But Rhydon is mainly here to get rocks up because that's what it does almost every week. It's my main switch into Linoon if I really need one, as well as Lycanroc Dusk. Because Lycanroc Dusk, even at +2, Joron is doing like 70%, and it's only doing 30% without a boost, so that's pretty nice. And even if he does have like a +2Z, I actually do live to hit from full. So that's something to keep in mind. Tough Claw is Lycanroc Dusk. Lycanroc Dusk is such a good mon. It's so underrated, and I think it's going to do a lot of dent to my team. But Rhydon is here to sort of make sure it doesn't get out of hand too quickly. And that's sort of what mainly Rhydon's here for. And that's kind of it. Again, rocks are really good for his Flying Core if he decides to bring his Flying Core, and Shelgon as well, and my Mortar. So Rhydon definitely has its neat part in this battle. But we're going to move on to our third mon of the week. That is going to be Galvantula. Galvantula is rocking out with the Life Orb, max special attack, 168 speed with a Timid Nature, and 88 in HP. Moves being Sticky Web, Volt Switch, Thunder, and Toxic. Yes, this is completely walled by Piloswine outside of Toxic, but it's fine with me because Galvantula isn't the most important. This is here to offensively beat his Flying Core in Yanmega and Sigilif, because Sigilif and Yanmega just aren't tanking hits for days. Speed Boost Yanmega is a little bit scary for the set because at +1, obviously, then outspeeds. Choice Spec's Speed Boost is just really scary in general. That's why if he doesn't bring Dusclops, or one of his offensive threats, he could bring on Mega. It wouldn't really shock me if he did decide to go that route. But non-speed boost and Galvantula just beats it every time. So that's pretty cool. Webs aren't a necessity, but they are very important because it stops Lycanroc from sweeping my team. They do not affect Metagross though, and that's something I have to be very careful about. And Agility, the Metagross could be scary because Sticky Webs don't affect it. A Linoon doesn't really matter because Extreme Speed priority, and then everything else isn't really that fast, that's grounded. So again, Webs aren't that important, but if Lycanroc Dusk looks very scary, then I might need them up. Volt Switch for pivoting, Thunder hits really hard. He doesn't have a ground type on his team, except for Piloswine. Except for Piloswine, nothing really wants to switch into this thing, so that is Galvantula's main job, just to kind of pivot around his team and get webs up if I need to. But we're going to move on to our fourth mon, a mon we've brought basically every week so far, and that is going to be Empoleon. Empoleon is rocking out with max HP, max Bidef with a Calm Nature and 12 in speed, holding the Shuka Berry, moves being Scald, Flash Cannon, Ice Beam, and Aqua Jet. I did really think about running Assault Vest on this thing, but I didn't really think I needed it because it still tanked the Omega and Sigilif's hits pretty well overall, and Aromatisse as well. This is my main switch into those three mons, so that's kind of what the main purpose is. I decided to run Shuka Berry in the end is because, let's say, late game he still has a decent amount of physical attackers and Rhydon shipped for whatever reason. I can tank any one hit from Linoon. I can tank any one hit from Linoon even if it's boosted. Metagross if it's an Earthquake, and Lycanroc Dusk if it's Droron. So I can take any of those hits, and then Empoleon nukes Lycanroc back with Scald or Flash Cannon. It does a lot to Linoon back, so that was kind of the main purpose there. But again, it's mainly here for his special attackers, as I have Ice Beam on here for his Yanmega and Sigilif. I did want to drop Ice Beam for Defog if rocks got out of hand, but I just needed the extra damage output on his Mons, so that's why I decided to run that in the end. And Aqua Jet for Lycanroc Dusk, because, again, that thing's the most scariest thing on his team, easily, so there's that. And Aqua Jet does a decent chunk to my Mortar. Sorry, I just ate. And yeah, so that is our fourth Mon. And our fifth Mon is first for the season. We have Simipour. We are bringing Simipour, the big PewDiePie fan, rocking out with the Focus Sash, 244 Spatak, 224 speed with a Naive Nature, and 40 in HP. Boost being Scald, Knockoff, Ice Beam, and Superpower. Superpower, again, make sure that Linoon cannot set up on this thing. I've decided to run the 40 HP, so Seismic Toss from Dusclops is always with Forco, and that's the reason I did that in the end. It took a little bit off special attack, but this has great coverage against his team. I decided to run Double Water this week because the offensiveness from Simipour, the speed T was really big because it outspeeds his Water Core. Not his Water Core, his Flying Core. So Ice Beam just nukes the Mega to it. Doesn't nuke, it almost knocks it out, and Sigilif it does like over half too. So that's why I decided to run Simipour in the end. I have Focus Sash if he does decide to bring like an Agility Metagross. That could be a little bit scary. So I have Focus Sash to live any one hit and just, knock off or a Scald or whatever. Again, this coverage is very good for his team. I can tank any one hit from Piloswine and do so much back with Scald or knockoff. And just knock off. So this thing's meant to be an annoyance or a late game cleaner. I might use it early game if it isn't as important, but it's mainly looking to go a little more late game than anything. But that is going to be the Simipour set. And then finally, to our final Mon, we have Licky. Licky is rocking out with max HP, 108 defense, 132 Spidef with a Careful Nature, and 20 in speed, holding the leftovers. Moves being Wish, Protect, Toxic, and Seismic Toss. Went back and forth between the set a lot because I wanted Earthquake on the set, but I decided to go for Seismic Toss in the end because it's a little more reliable overall, and I won't get completely walled by Sigilif and Yanmega, even though I don't even expect them both to come. I want to make sure that I'm somewhat prepared for them, because if I'm not prepared for them, then they do become pretty scary. And this also deals with his physical core because I have mixed defenses. I can Seismic Toss like Metagross or whatever down. I can Toxic Linoon so it doesn't completely sweep my team. And yeah, the good thing about his physical core is that none of them get reliable recovery. So that just kind of makes sure that they're either chipped down or whatever. So that's Licky's main job. It also is my only really good switch into my Mortar. That thing was looking a little bit scary too. His whole team is scary to an extent, but and my main switch into Metagross. I did have Rocky Helmet originally, but I felt like the leftovers was needed just because of his breaking power, which is really insane. So that is going to be the Licky, and that is going to be the team. Not completely sure how I feel about this team because I did build this in like an hour tops, so it's not my best built team, but we're going to hope it puts in work, and we're going to head over to the Pokemon Showdown, and we're going to watch the battle. Alright, we have arrived here, and the first thing I'm noticing is that he brought both his flying types, and he did not bring the Metagross or Dusclops. So that is really interesting to say the least, that Dusclops was going to be very annoying, but it's not here. By the way, I mentioned in the team builder that Simipour is nuking Dusclops, when in reality it's just not, but it knocks off his Eviolite, but it didn't come, so it doesn't really matter. Speaking of Simipour, I am going to lead off with it here, as it does damage to every single thing on his team, as I'm going to Ice Beam this Yanmega here, and I'm going to freeze it. And that is absolutely humongous. Turn 1 freeze on Yanmega. I am going to pause it here. This is really big because this impacted the rest of the battle immensely, because Lord of the Acorn told me after the battle that this Yanmega was his breaker, and he was Giga Draining there, and now he's got the Metronome, and I have a naive nature. So he's either almost knocking me out or knocking me down to my Focus Sash, and he also has Speed Boost. So not only if he didn't get frozen, I would have been down to like a 10% health Simipour, and this Yanmega would be back up to like 40-ish%. He would have been able to knock me out the next turn, and then I'll have to go into Empoleon, and either A, Empoleon's got to take the Metronome boost at Giga Drain, or he would switch out Yanmega and keep it for later, which my switch-ins is Empoleon, but it's not the greatest switch-in. So this freeze was absolutely huge, and it affected the way he played throughout the battle. I just want to mention that. This was just insanely bad luck for my opponent turn 1. But anyway, we are going to unpause it now, and you're going to see here that he does stay frozen, and the speed boost is going to activate right now. And spoiler alert, he does not thaw out. As I click Scald here and just knock off the Yanmega turn 2. That is really an unfortunate event of plays right there. I am so sorry to my opponent. But he goes out into Aromatisse now, and I can just switch out into Empoleon because I have a really good switch into this thing anyway, as he just throws up a Wish. That is fine. I'm going to go for Flash Cannon just to see what he's going to do as he goes out into Sigilif. That is fine. But then you're going to see here that this Sigilif is actually pretty bulky. He's got like max HP at least. And he gets burned. So this is actually the Cosmic Power or Calm Mindset. As I go straight onto a Galvantula as he does bust out the Cosmic Power, I'm like, oh crap, this is kind of a problem. I did not prepare for the set in prep because my prep was only an hour long. Luckily at +1, Thunder is still doing, like, basically just nuking the Sigilif because I am Life Orb. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but it is going to be a bit annoying as it is possible. So I'm expecting him to go right back out into Sigilif as it does. This Sigilif is kind of weird because if he has Air Slash, I can outstall this thing. But if he's got stored power, then it's going to be a really big problem. So I definitely don't have too many options against this thing, as luckily he just clicks Psycho Shift on my switch into Simipour, so I can Ice Beam this thing for pretty much free. I understand that Aromatisse is probably going to come in, as you're going to see here that Aromatisse does come in, as I do click the Ice Beam. That's fine. I just make sure Galvantula is still around for the Sigilifs, because it makes sure Sigilif doesn't get too out of hand. So, yeah. But here I'm just going to knock off this Aromatisse. I'm just going to do whatever, just stay in against this thing. This Aromatisse is not that threatening. Expecting him to want to get Sigilif recovered, I am going to click Ice Beam, as that is what happens. But since the Sigilif is a bit bulkier, he is going to be able to hang on and basically just negate all that damage. He doesn't gain anything from it, but he also doesn't he doesn't really gain or lose anything. But the fact that now I can damage this Aromatisse again coming in is pretty big, as this Aromatisse is now down to 53%. This time around, I am going to go into the Empoleon because there's no Wish up in the air. As if he wants to throw up a Wish, I can at least Ice Beam this Aromatisse, because Aromatisse is not going to be doing anything back. This time around, Aromatisse does catch his own Wish, as I just click Ice Beam and Aromatisse protects, and Aromatisse is going to get all the way back up. This time I can click Flash Cannon, because if he goes into Sigilif, he will not be receiving a Wish. As I do click Flash Cannon, and it does 31%, a little less than I wanted to. I'm just going to click it again, expecting Roost to come out, but he actually goes out into the Piloswine, and then I get a critical hit. So that sucks in the sense that you can't really pivot around with Piloswine later because of the damage. Realistically, 2 Flash Cannons would have been able to knock out Piloswine anyway. There's no way it wouldn't have, but again, he couldn't have been able to switch into like maybe like Flare Blitz later. I don't know. So that's unfortunate. I go out into Galvantula on the Sigilyph here. Sigilyph just Roost, and now with Piloswine gone, I can just freely Volt Switch around or spam Electric type moves. As I do Volt Switch expecting either this thing to come out or something else. As now I can go on the Blaziken, and I do have the Fire EMZ, and I am just going to click it this turn because something's dying basically, and he's not going to bring Lycanroc hard in on this Blaziken. That would just be wild. But so Aromatisse is going to go down. It is 6-3, and again, I fully think that Freeze is fully the reasoning for it. I'm just going to click Flare Blitz here to just do some damage, and this Sigilyph is really freaking fat, as he is going to click Cosmic Power, and I'm thinking, alright, I have to go down the Galvantula because since... Again, I mentioned it earlier, since Yanmega went down, I can play a lot more recklessly with this Galvantula, as he is going to Roost, and this is a roll in his favor to live, but here's the thing, I click Thunder, and Sigilyph goes down. Now, he had 2 options there. If he clicked Roost, all I would have to do is click another Thunder and hope I hit, and if he killed me, then I can just revenge it easy, so I'm not sure how much it mattered too much, but that makes it that now I'm in this situation with Linoon, as Linoon is forced to Belly Drum on my Galvantula, as now Linoon is down to 10%. And I could switch out on Empoleon and be ballsy, but I decided just to sack off the Galvantula because it's the safest play there. As now I basically have the game won because I can go down to Empoleon. Aqua Jet guaranteed knocks out this Linoon, as you're going to see here, knocks it out. And Lycanroc cannot knock out my Empoleon in any one hit unless it is the Fightinium Z with Brick Break, but I don't think he has that, so I'm just going to click Scald as he just clicks Swords Dance. There's nothing else he could really do at this point in the battle, as it doesn't knock it out, but I have Aqua Jet the next turn, so... This is going to be the end of the battle. We are going to win 5-0 against Lord of the Acorn. An unfortunate hacks fest, especially at the beginning. But GG to Lord. But because of this battle, we are going to move up to a 3-1 record and a plus 14 differential. I'm a person that doesn't really care about differential too much, but that is just really insanely good. I'm really happy that I have it. My opponent was forced to play really differently in this game because of the turn 1 freeze, and that definitely affected the way the battle went. So... Not exactly sure who really deserved this win, to be honest, but we take those. One more time, GG to my opponent. Next week, we're going to move on to our Week 5 game. We take on Jed Swarley. This is going to be our easiest game because Jed is a bot. No, I'm just kidding. This is going to be a really hard game. Jed's got big boy Noivern over there, and Noivern, you know, mascot because we're the Northside Noiverns. It's going to be a very tough battle because Jed is a very good battler, so hopefully you guys are excited for that as much as I am. It's going to be the more exciting battles of the season, but that's going to be next week. Thank you guys for watching so much. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you like Pokemon Draft League content, consider subscribing to the channel. I'm going to head out of here. Have a fantastic day, YouTube.